Hello everyone, my name is Petrit Halilaj and I'm so excited because tomorrow we open my first solo show in America Latina here in Museo Tamayo, and it's called Runik. I always loved this relation that the building and the museum have with the landscape and with the city, and that it blurs the inside and outside. And so the exhibition tried to do this. I invite you to come all in. Runik is a small town I grew up, and what home means for me. It's in Kosovo, and here I came with one of the first works that I did in 2010 that was building the house together with my family after the house in Runik was destroyed in the war. And here there's one-to-one scale of the house that actually hugs and connects the spaces of the museum. The architecture becomes part of a sculpture, and the sculpture becomes part of the architecture, and will host all the creatures and the work that I did in the last 10 years. And it's waiting for people to see and complete it together. What I've really found since the beginning very, very beautiful in the Museo Tamayo is how the museum is integrated in the landscape, how the outside, it's part of the inside, and that have been really inspiring since the beginning. It's like one of the most beautiful museums with this very intimate rooms, but also has the patio that has this beautiful connection to the sky, to the landscape, to the park, to the animals that go out. So like for me, bringing here flowers, moths, birds, all the creatures that have been kind of an extension of the self-portrait or have been a way to explain very different themes and actually challenging themes for me, like the idea of migration, forced displacement, reintegration, dreaming, searching for identity. Like each creature and each animal bring a story with itself. But here, actually, for the first time in my life, I see meeting together. So it's kind of not only me that actually through my work I can come in Mexico and present very far away stories, but I hope by coming here together they kind of talk to very important themes that are related to my life, and they start from the desire of building a house, a desire of better life, all the challenges that migration brings or displacement brings, and it brings like small and large works, because I believe you can sense the importance of this everyday life, like that once you lose it, and we take it for granted, but once you lose it, the world becomes very, very difficult and very complex. And their search for rebuilding and finding again a feeling of home through people or through building new homes, like it's what accompanies, probably it's like a central theme that brings all these creatures together. So what I would love to show you here is what remained from the house I was born, and that after it was burnt in the war, we realized that when we came back, actually we found nothing. Why I decided that the necklace is a container of the ashes of the house is that because my mom, in the last moment before we escaped, my mom knew that probably it will survive only what we hide, and she digged a hole in the garden and hid her jewelry, the rings and the necklace and I don't know, and she just took a bunch of 25 drawings or something from me, and she wrapped them in a plastic and she digged under and hid them. And I was so touched by this gesture, because I was just thinking, like, if you would have to leave your home, your apartment, what would you choose to save? If you can just choose a suitcase, like And I was very touched that she chose to save my drawings, that are the only drawings I have from my childhood, because in '99 the house was burned. So, at that time I was 13, and so I wanted to give back this gesture of my mom with actually keeping, even if in dust and as a color, keeping the house and making the house travel. And what I love about it is that every time you present it, you lose pieces. So this piece have been in different museums, but I think like, I love to think that the house will be dispersed kind of, and fly from a place to another. Parallelly to the show here, in Kosovo, my family with my brother and the neighbors, like based on instructions that I sent, they built a 5-meter chicken house in a form of a space shuttle, where it's painted blue line, so the chickens were there. When they are inside, they feel they are part of a space or they are flying. That's happening right now in Kosovo, when actually majority of people from Kosovo, they cannot travel and come to visit the exhibition here. This is because the diplomatic relation between Mexico and Kosovo are inexistent. It's really interesting because this is just because geographically it's very far away, and like I never found a reason why this relation doesn't exist. But I'm so happy that through art you invite people to learn about another place. That here can sound just like, I was thinking that what Runic means for me, it's from home to identity to many, many things that I personally am connected. A bulb, which actually it's a memory of the house again, with a cable and a bulb that tries to become a moth or an insect that flies around it during the night. And it connects to my childhood because when I was little, I was really obsessed with butterflies and moths flying around, and I had to catch, someone had to help me when I was little to catch them. And that was the reason also of a passion that continues, and like it's how I discovered that in Kosovo it existed a natural history museum that after the war, because of a need of a new identity or like a national identity, they replaced the whole collection of natural history with more than 2,000 animals, from bears to birds to, like wolves to goats, with the ethnological museum, which hosted more ethnographic collection of Albanian ethnic group, which is the majority of the population in Kosovo, which I come from too. But I just thought like, I felt the need to be critical because like we replaced a fauna or a collection of natural history museum that all people from all ethnic groups could identify with, because it doesn't represent people, it represents the fauna and nature. They replaced it with one only collection. And on top of this, when they took out the animals, they brought them in a very bad conditioned storage, so they all got lost and rotten. I could save with the X team of museum just a few. One of them here is a canary bird, which doesn't have eyes. So in 2012, when I did the show, and by then we were already together with Alvaro, like he helped me to make a mask that would help the canary bird to look at us again, or look to the exhibition. And actually is the smallest piece probably in the whole show, but it's the first piece that hosts everyone when they start to enter in the show. Parallelly to this, and while people will be walking and knowing many pieces and identifying the place and the house, they will see the sky, but like in the same time, one aeroplane is gonna be flying through all Americas, through Merida to New York, from Mexico City to Brazil, and back. And I think like this crossing through borders on airplane that contains a chicken, which is a drawing that I did specifically in collaboration with Aeromexico. I love that also people through this flight they will understand that here we have a show. It's important to say that this is a felt tip drawing in an A4, and it's the same way how I was drawing in the refugee camp in '99. This was during the war in Kosovo, and we were expelled, like forced to leave our homes, and actually everything was lost and burned. But then we ended up in a refugee camp. A very important moment of my life as a kid, because I was 13 years old, and this was in 1999. And I always loved to make drawings, and I always loved the birds, actually, and even more like very far birds, which most of them live more in Americas than in Europe, you know, like big parrots and like colorful and so. And in the camp, when I was drawing, like I met a psychologist who gave to the kids pencils to draw, because this psychologist thought that the kids don't speak the language of the same language, so the way how we could connect and express was through the drawing. And what I was drawing for him was, in one side, the reality of the war, and I was seeing them as a testimony of what I, in a way, lived. So very difficult reality. And on the other side, very colorful and beautiful drawing. And it was the same technique, like just very simple, questioning these impossibilities through poetic ways. And then we worked on making it, you know, scanning it and applying to the flight. And as I told you, like, to me it was very important that the wing of the chicken connects to the wing of an aircraft. So in a way, they complete each other. It's not a completed figure in a completed aircraft, it's more kind of one depends from another, which is what I think is a complexity I'm very interested, this idea of understanding that we are interconnected and we need each other somehow to fly. I like that the exhibition have works that are inside the museum, but they are works that are actually flying somewhere or hosting some creatures and conversation and connecting to here that exist outside of the museum. And this parallel of stories, I think it's very important that because they are in a very different places that not necessarily know each other. But I think people through imagination will connect them and complete them in a way. And I think this is what I really love to do with my practice.